there is a joy and excitement and a lot of love out there. And it's about a love for our country. It's about building a better country for every American citizen and providing more opportunities for our kids and our grandkids.
Is that spreading beyond the Democratic Party in Kentucky?
I think it's spreading everywhere. I can tell you in Kentucky over this last year, the temperature's turned down. Neighbors aren't yelling at neighbors. We're trying to live out our faith and our values. And in our voting, I hope that's about looking forward, about voting for people who will lift everybody up.
Are you going to beat Mitch McConnell?
I am right where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to serve out every day of my term.
Thank you.
So
I'm going to try and make a tiny bit of news because no one was talking about that.
Yeah, so tell us about the McConnell speech.
Well, I mean, Mitch McConnell is not going to run again. He's not going to be the majority leader. And many people think he's going to retire before the end of his next term. Andy Beshear would be the natural Democrat to run for that seat in what would be a massively expensive race. He has a lot of money in the bank and he's got name recognition throughout the state. His dad was a governor. He's been elected and reelected, which as a Democrat in Kentucky, I don't have to tell this smart audience who watches this stuff, but it's really very, very difficult. And he would be the natural contender for that role. He didn't get the vice presidential nomination, and a lot of people were relieved because they thought he would be the best person to beat McConnell. He's saying, I'm going to sit out. I'm going to have every day of my term, but there's a way that he can, if McConnell were to retire, name someone, have a special election, serve out his term, and also run for this, I believe.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But you know, the thing that he said, it's not just political pulp about neighbors wanting to get back together and be more civil. I'm sensing that too.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've been talking, behind the scenes for the purpose of the company about creating a new show. And the show idea is to talk to MAGA, but not in a confrontational way, but in a way where we begin to understand what drives them. They begin to understand what drives us, and we begin to heal a little bit.
It's a good idea, but I do believe that if Trump loses in November, Cenk, that you should change that show just a little bit, because I think MAGA is going to be a little bit gone. I think that element of their party is going to be pushed out a little bit. And so that's maybe optimistic, but I think it's also real. It doesn't mean Republicans are going away and conservatives aren't going to go away. It doesn't mean that a lot of those people are going to stick around or not going to stick around. But I do think that it's going to change a lot. And it's still going to be us, be them on both sides. And so it's still a good show. I just think the MAGA part might not be as applicable.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And that's a great question as to what happens to MAGA post-Trump,
yeah.
Right? But I do, as you were talking about it, I just thought of something. I think this, how we ended the regular show and talked about, well, now if they don't deliver, man, it's really going to crush hope, right?
Yeah.
But there's a potential silver lining there, because either they're going to deliver and we're going to be jubilant, right? And remember, guys, they're not going to deliver 100%. So I just get super frustrated when they do 5% or 15% and everybody declares it to be 200%. It makes me out of my mind, right? But if, my God, 25, 50? No, that's too much, right? But like a significant chunk of their agenda, you deliver on that, I'm gonna love it forever,
yeah.
Right? And so that's a great outcome. But if they don't deliver at all, that might lead to a different positive outcome, but for in my world, which is a populist uprising. So, because these populists are not going anywhere. That's my point. It's not that I don't know what happens to MAGA and the label of MAGA.
I don't think they know they're populists. I mean, this is another conversation.
No, Michael, I was, so you overheard me for a second on this thing that I was doing today. On Twitter, there's spaces and this guy Mario invited me. He's really well known and gets a lot of people to watch. And there was a ton of people not watch, but listen.
Yeah.
In that case, listening in, and like a lot of thought leaders and a ton of right wingers. Okay, but both right, left, libertarian, they were all saying the same thing. They love populism.
No, I'm not saying populism. I don't think MAGA knows. I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think MAGA knows it's populist. I think MAGA is a cult of personality. From having spent as much time with them as I have, I think I have a good handle on what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think that it is as smart as populism. I don't think that it is as perceptive as populism. And I'd be interesting to see, right? I mean, you said it's a great question, and we'll know. We're not going to know for a little while, but it's certainly, I think, a little different than sort of like natural and organic populism.
Yeah. So, well, we're gonna, we might find out. So, all right. Last thing is a quick roundup, and there's a couple of lines that I thought were really good that I didn't get a chance to say something about. One is that when Oprah talked about how, Kamala Harris's mom came from India or dad came from Jamaica, and they came with, not untypical, like about hope in their heart and American dream, etc. But she didn't put it in a cliched way. She put it in a way that resonated with me. And the reason that it resonated for me is I go back to this idea of America and why we're chanting USA and why I've told you now for 22 years straight I love America, and I never wavered on it. Even when like some portions of the left were like, no, the country's bad and this is wrong and this is wrong. And of course it is, guys. We try to perfect the union as we go along, right?
You pulled for Turkey in the World Cup. I was with you.
You root for the underdog. Okay. Although America's
I was going to say soccer. Yeah.
I think America's one and up.
Yeah.
So anyways, overall in international competitions, Stanford won more gold than Germany.
Right. That's amazing.
Olympics. Just one college. Anyways, but that's why we came here. It's no joke. It's super real. The reason my dad could have picked any country. Why did he pick America? And he wouldn't have picked any other country. He wouldn't have moved to UK. He wouldn't have moved to France.
Can I have one imitation of him deciding between a few countries?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. We have to move right away. Italy, no. India, no. America, yes.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Yeah. Seriously, guys. I mean, it's not like Japan and Germany aren't wealthy countries, but we certainly weren't going to go to Japan. But a lot of Turks go to Germany, but we were not going to go to Germany.
Yeah,
we were going to go to America because America is the land of hope and opportunity, and
joy,
and apparently joy, and so. The fact that you can do that in this country, and the fact, like, it just feels inclusive. Like, all the Republicans are going for what is the conservative mindset. And that's the conversation and discussion and debate that we had with Charlie Kirk on Monday. And again, core of what I wrote in Justice is Coming. For conservatives, it's not that they don't have empathy. It's that they have empathy for a small circle, right? Me, my family, my church, my community. And there they have tremendous empathy and love and want to protect them, etc. Yeah. But their wagons are super tight, right? Whereas for progressives, oh my God, look at that Indian mom and the Jamaican dad. They came here because they love this country and look at what they created, right? But just as much for Tim Walz's parents in the middle of Minnesota who've been there for a long time.
Right. And this guy who wanted to be a school teacher, 3 out of his 4 siblings were school teachers. And Bill Clinton saying that Kamala Harris spent more time at a McDonald's than he did. I mean, it was a funny line, but it's painting a picture of people who are real and then looking across at what the other option is on your ballot and seeing people who have not lived what is a typical American life.
Yeah, and Democrats inclusive, Republicans exclusive. And that leads to Buttigieg's line about how they're for darkness, and you can feel it. Like, and it's not just us, even some portion of Republicans, they know Trump's for darkness is not for light, okay? And when the guys you talk to are super hardcore MAGA, yeah, they think he's Jesus and filled with light throughout, right? But those guys are lost, right? But from Republicans, independents that love this country, they don't want the darkness. Nobody roots for darkness, right? They root for light.
Of course. And they're lost. And one little difference is, if you were a Bill Clinton maniac, right, when he was president, and then Al Gore lost, and then you come back with the next person, then you became a Barack Obama maniac. You stuck with the game. You liked it. What I'm thinking about many of the people in MAGA, which is why it's different, is they are Donald Trump maniacs. Whatever he says they think is absolutely the truth. I don't think they're going to go on to become Rick Scott maniacs. I don't think they're going to go on to become. Do you know what I'm saying, though? Right. So I think that it is not a legacy passion for a lot of these people, which is why I don't think populism is in their vernacular in the way that you want it to be. But I still think the premise of what you want to do is great. I just think there's a difference.
And lastly, Buddha just said, your daughter is not the enemy, right?
Yeah.
Because families are being split apart by this division.
Yeah.
And the Republicans made absolutely no effort to bring us back together.
No.
They didn't say like, hey, you know what? Reach out to your Democratic family and friends and neighbors and hug them and bring them in to our circle of trust and treat them with respect, right? They didn't say any of that, right? They offered nothing but darkness. So here, as everyone speaking is saying, let's offer a little bit of grace, a little bit of light. And your daughter is not the enemy because she disagrees with you politically, right? And then finally, back to Bill Clinton when he said, Donald Trump is about me, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Kamala Harris is asking, not just you, but how can I help you? And if the Democrats stay with how can I help you, they win the election.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.